Guys, I can whoop y'all butt in Fortnite. I swear, but I can play with the claw. I can play with this. I can't even play like this. Dumpy. Okay, sorry about that. Kitty Crew! We back with another video. Let's go. Say it. Go.
If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to consider hitting that subscribe button. Look at this beautiful button right here. Now, make sure you guys hit it.
Because we're coming out with it straight. Banger.
Exactly. So, in the newest video for today, we are going to be reacting to Happy Humble's Burger Farm by the Game Theorist.
It's always by him, bro. He be having the craziest theories, bro.
Like,
I swear he
we know we be trying to like talk to you guys at the same time.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Theories are so good.
Yeah,
we just like
exactly.
We listen to it.
Exactly. Like we trying to talk to you and listen at the same time. So it's kind of hard to do that, but we're gonna try to talk to you guys at the same time while we, react to this. Yeah. All right. So without further ado, let's do this crap. Let's go. That's gonna be my new thing. I'm gonna be like, let's do this crap. Let's go.
Scythe Dev Team. Hi, it's me, Austin, yada yada. I just woke up after getting 4 hours of sleep doing a deep dive into the Happy's Humble Burger Farm game. Well,
yes,
no,
sir.
The entire extended universe, but that'll have to be something Matt maybe talks about at some point. And also, here's a good opportunity to point out that this video is going to have massive spoilers for the entire whole game and for Happy's Humble Burger Barn 2 while we're at it. Go play it, then immediately come back here and watch this video because we're going over some of the coolest stuff today.
Bam! I can't wait.
Let me pose to you a question. What exactly is going on in Happy's Humble Burger Farm? By using the powers of science, we're going to cover what feels like an in-depth exploration into the world of Happy's Humble Burger Farm.
Oh wait,
in reality,
that's
just the
what's his
very
name?
tip
Bill.
of the iceberg of the weird stuff going on in the Scytheverse. Today we're going to figure out how exactly the company Obscura controls your mind with its cutting-edge mind control chip and forces you, the protagonist and the player, into doing its bidding by flipping burgers in a fast food restaurant. So sit back,
Bill was just
relax,
standing
and
there
open up
too.
a can of
He was just standing there. He was like,
cola. Relax,
like,
be
dude, hell.
compliant, obey the system, and follow me as we stare into the depths of the void to answer this question.
Okay, bet.
So first of all, before we can get into the cool science of a game you probably thought had no cool science in it, we're going to cover some of the really, really cool lore of this game, not just as a refresher course for you if you played it, but also because this game has a lot going on behind the scenes that's pretty easy to miss if you're too spooked to go exploring or just, I don't know, just get really hooked on the day-to-day cycle of cooking burgers, frying fries, and doing pest control with your bare hands. Farm takes place on the planet Scythe, which is not Earth. Originally, I thought it was just an alternate universe Earth with a different name, but no, their entire solar system is different. You play as Employee 42 or E42, nice Douglas Adams reference, but your real name is Ryder Heitzman, an investigative journalist who traveled to the King's Comfort Resort on the Outcast Islands, specifically the island of Dirijango. You're there investigating a string of disappearances that occurred at the resort, and Ryder has managed to connect these disappearances to the company Paragon Genetic Technology through tracking the company's founders back through their various enterprises all the way back decades to the Al Kanan Company in Northsbury. Unfortunately, a nuclear meltdown occurs, interrupting Ryder's investigation. This meltdown was actually a nuclear weapon that was intentionally detonated for reasons we will get into later. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, this is the same booming explosion you experience at the very end of Happy's Humble Burger Barn, the sort of prequel game that came out in 2020. In that game, you play as Employee 7, or E7 for short. E7 evacuates his simulation and is eventually recaptured, and Ryder is not that far behind, probably only minutes, and he's immediately captured by Paragon Security. Sometime after this event, Maverick Cooper, the radio DJ, podcaster, and investigative journalist you hear on the radio in Farm, has been captured by the company known as Obscura. Obscura is, in short, the same company as Paragon, but with a new name. The founder and head of these companies, Dr. Zane Grimm, has a habit of jumping ship when things get hot and reforming old companies with new names, but it does get even juicier. After the explosion took place and caused a massive state of emergency on Dirijango, Grimm leveraged the banding together of the three nations of Scythe, Darius, Sabbat, and Rabliag, to provide aid to form a totalitarian super government that controls the entire world, a technocratic oligarchy, leveraging a self-caused total disaster for world domination. Which brings us more or less up to date with where we are in Farm. After being captured, Ryder is implanted with a mind control chip by Obscura scientists, given a designation E42, and is dropped into New Elysian City, which is where you find yourself.
Look at Bill just running like a
You are compelled to go to work at a fast food restaurant, Happy's Humble Burger Farm. Your job is simple. Fill orders for customers, except something's not quite right. There's security guards made out of cardboard cutouts. All the citizens look the same, and if you dig deeper, you find a whole bunch of weird information about the shadowy Obscura company and the Lucidus Initiative. What's more troubling, though, are the beasts that stalk the city. Rumors that turn out to be true of the Barnyard Buds mascots from the Farmyard series of cartoons lurking in the dark corners, killing and eating people. One mascot in particular stands out above all the others. Happy the Humble Heifer, aka Asset Joy, who shows a keen interest in the activities that go on in the burger farm. Try to skip a shift and she will drag you to work. Make too many mistakes serving customers and she'll use her control over the ACM to box you into the restaurant, wherein she'll stalk you horrifyingly until you either appease her or get eaten alive. And things only get weirder from there. It becomes fairly clear early on that you're not living in a real city, but rather a fake one, a massive underground dome. It's basically like The Truman Show, a city built entirely to isolate and test this mind control chip. In fact, Scythe devs actually put in a Truman Show reference, an incident where a camera falls out of the sky. A thing that happens in The Truman Show is just to drive that message home. But why do that? Well, we will get there later. But for now, you do your job and explore the mysteries of New Elysian City, which, after defeating Peter the Pig with a wafer-thin mint, you find yourself deep in the bowels of an old, crumbling Paragon facility ruin, being chased by a giant Chuck the Chicken, or the rooster, whatever. After activating the power in the propane system, you fry Chuck to death and are able to escape, and it's here where things really begin to unravel. New Elysian City is powered by geothermal activity. This is when you use the natural heat of the earth and volcanic activity to boil water to spin turbines. By reactivating the power and propane systems in the old Paragon facility, E42 creates a massive power surge that blows out the power systems of the entirety of New Elysian City, and the illusion of the constructed world surrounding you begins to fall apart. Trees and lampposts just straight up disappear, kinda. What's left are blue, blank, textureless models. This is happening all over the place. All the normal citizens of New Elysian City, which are also actually robots, are acting all kinds of weird too. It's shortly after this that you build the helmet and zap the chip in your brain, which allows you to break out of the facility. That said, it's before you don the helmet where you really get an insight into how precisely the chip inside you has been working. You see, the simulated city begins breaking down before you even put the helmet on. In fact, the helmet barely seems to change anything. It unlocks your memory, of course, and reveals a few more places that lead deeper down the rabbit hole, but the system is massively screwed before you even touch the chip. The answer for why is pretty simple, and the announcements you hear during the apocalypse even say it outright. There's not enough power to sufficiently run New Elysian City. All these illusions and systems take power to run and control, and that's been totally thrown out of whack by the power surge caused by the Chuck boss fight. What this does reveal, however, is that the city isn't a full-blown computer simulation like the Matrix. Rather, it's a facade. Chipboard, cardboard, and plywood enhanced with the powers of technology to seal the deal. How? Augmented reality.
AR.
Augmented reality
hey
in
guys,
our world
VR,
is a way of using
VR
cameras,
chat.
screens, and fast
Let's go.
processing
I got
to add a
mine in the
bit
back
of
room.
unreality
Quit playing with
into
me.
reality. Pokemon
That's
Go
AR,
is a
not
great
VR.
example of this. So is that Mario Kart game that I didn't actually end up buying that lets you build an actual Mario Kart racetrack in your home.
That's
it's
actually cool.
effectively a projected dose of reality. And this is literally
Yo,
what
that's
you're
actually
experiencing in New Elysian
So
City, and there's clues very early on.
AR.
Before you even leave your apartment, in fact.
That's
If you
crazy.
head over to the
And guys,
sliding
we're getting
glass
that
door
soon,
and
so-
look
Oh, yeah, the
into
AR
it, you can
glasses that's supposed
see
to be
a
coming out
reflection. That reflection does
late
not match the
2022 and
apartment
early
that you are
2023.
presently in. There's
You mean late
posters on the wall that you
2022?
can't even see.
early
This, in
2023.
fact,
you
is
said
the
early
real
2022.
apartment, the stage that you're
Yeah, I
living
thought I said
on
late.
without the computerized projection over it. But it gets even better because before you even leave, you get the name Obscura, either from radio broadcasts or from that little Walkman thing itself. Obscura, of course, is a play off of obscure, hinting at a hidden truth, but even better, it references a camera obscura, which is a way of using a small hole in the wall in a dark room to project lit images from the other side onto a surface for study or portraiture. Later, you can find documents referencing the Lucidus Initiative, which is also a name that's pulling double duty. It's a play off of lucidity, a word used to describe consciousness, but it's also referencing camera lucida, which is also a technology used to project images onto a surface. That's a pretty clever observation, right? Well, I wish I could say I made it myself, but I didn't. When I was in the Happy's Humble Discord, developer Caleb Alfada pointed this out to a few of us, and it blew my mind. Really amazing stuff. So how precisely does a chip in your brain create a fabricated reality around you? Well, originally I thought the chip would interface with the back of your head around the occipital lobe here, because this is where visual information comes into your brain. But we can see in sketches left behind by E7 that this is not how the chip works. It's not connected to the occipital lobe in the back portion of your brain. It's connected to the parietal lobe, which in fact is a much better place to connect a chip if you want to enhance reality around someone. Why? Well, the occipital lobe does take visual information from the eyes and breaks it down into its raw form and processes it. That is true, but then a lot of this information is piped through the parietal lobe for further processing. What's more, the parietal lobe processes your basic sense of touch, sense of space and distance, language processing, and even some visual information. This chip directly interacts with the part of your brain that makes you experience the world around you, and by stimulating it with controlled electric pulses can mostly make you see and feel whatever it wants you to, within limitations. This includes hiding things that would ordinarily be in plain sight, or making a bed that is actually made out of wood feel like it's soft and comfortable. The helmet, therefore, is designed to disrupt this core function of the chip with a camera, a clock, and an FM transmitter. Well, as crazy as that sounds, it's not that far out there. A good chunk of you might be too young for this, but did any of you ever use a disposable camera? Once you fire them and the flash goes off, you can hear this faint, high-pitched whining. This comes from the boost converters inside the camera that are increasing the voltage from the batteries so they can charge surprisingly strong capacitors inside. Capacitors are electronic devices designed to hold a specific charge for some length of time before releasing it all at once. And when you release a large electric charge all at once, it creates electromagnetic waves, sometimes called electromagnetic pulses. And these things can be massively damaging to delicate electronics that aren't shielded properly. Electromagnetic fields can cause charges to flow in wrong directions and in voltages that are too extreme for the internal components, which can create a ton of damaging short circuits in a fairly short period of time. The FM chip here is likely used as a signal booster to increase the penetration of the electromagnetic signal. Since an FM, or frequency modulated signal, is itself also electromagnetic energy, this is the perfect application. We know that this is how it's working because, well, it says so right there, but also the formula above it, B equals mu times Ni over L, is the formula for electromagnetic solenoids, specifically used to determine the direction of the electromagnetic fields. And hey, fun fact, I rewatched Electroboom's video on EMPs just to make sure I didn't say anything really stupid, and when he creates a small circuit for testing purposes, he actually uses the capacitors and a camera flash to create a small EMP near the circuit, which activates it. But even better, it manages to damage his circuit. Amazing!
Wow.
So we know that this can actually work. Why didn't Obscura shield their chips? Well, probably for a few reasons. One, it is already shielded by your skull, skin, blood, and muscle, which are mostly made of water. Water is fantastic at absorbing electromagnetic waves and dissipating them. And what's more, in order for an EMP this small to work, it has to be really close to the circuit, since the power of the wave reduces exponentially with distance due to the inverse square law. You're not going to fry the thing from just any old radio wave flying through the air. You can actually see that the EMP Electroboom uses is pretty darn close to his circuit when it ruins it. But number two, this chip is likely still in the prototyping stage, and I have to say, for an indie horror game that involves murderous animatronics, this science and engineering in this game is it's pretty solid. Definitely A+ material. After you use it, the helmet has disrupted the chip enough to let you escape. It unlocks your memories and reveals that you've been under Obscura and Paragon control for half a decade somehow as a test subject under the Lucidus Initiative, which is the latest iteration of a decades-long project by Zane Grimm to learn how to control the minds of individuals and entire cultures. Why? Because Grimm wants to control the entire world, to end war, disharmony, and strife. To do this, he's willing to eradicate the free will of everyone who isn't at the top of the food chain. Make them perfect, obedient workers, to make people complacent and unchallenging, but also for profit and power. A corporate monopoly on innovation and everything. To turn free thought into taxed thought. Step 1 was already completed by forming the world Scythian government and obliterating the press. Step 2 is, well, it's what you experience in New Elysian City. Complete brain control. Live in squalor while being tricked into thinking you're living in luxury. Until you are so complacent and mollified that you've become a complete zombie, unable to cause a single problem aside from the occasional scorched burger. It does seem, however, that the chip is not completely fried by this device, as illusory visions still plague you. It's also very likely that Operation Songbird and the Cheese Maze Initiative yielded results in spite of the 0.5% failure rate, and the constant barrage of subliminal messaging in your TV and over the radio waves has permanently impacted Ryder's brain. You do manage to escape the facility in the end, but whether that's you scaling the walls at the end of the cinematic or you're down on the ground level and get eaten, it doesn't really matter. Either way, you never actually escape. You're never free. The chip is still there, damaged but functioning, and you escape into a world under Dr. Grimm's control. A world where one day Obscura will perfect Lucidus's mind control technology that they've been working on for decades, and you're just one person. They already control everything. The distribution of media and information, entertainment, even the science. Dead or alive, there is no escape. There is only the void. Sincerely, Austin! And believe it or not, that really was the tip of the iceberg. The lore of the Scytheverse goes way, way deeper than what I touched on here, so if you like hearing about all that weird stuff, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps boost engagement, sure, which I do love. I thrive on the attention, but it might also encourage us to do more videos on this topic. I have pages and pages of lore, and I bet if this video does really well, Matt could be convinced to do a really exhaustive deep dive into the franchise. Thanks to my patrons on Patreon, especially these folk who paid me to say their names: Juan Santamaria, MadLad616, Miss Kendra, Ronald Coleman, Alan Hagers, AdamTP, Nicholas Blinger, Marissa Resnick, Nick Patterson, and Loretta Mazer. They really make the show possible, and so do you just by watching. Thanks again, and remember, do not commit any thought crimes.
Obscura.
That is actually crazy.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Bro, I swear these theories, like, they get crazier and crazier each time we react to it.
Yeah, every time, but it makes no sense. Like, I think my brain is hurt. I think I need to go in there and just... So
if you guys want to see, like, a third video on By the Game Theorists...
Yeah, By the Game Theorists. Like, make sure you subscribe.
Subscribe to our channel and leave a like, and, you know, just tell us what you want to see in the comments.
Yeah, and we're on the road to 500 subscribers. So,
yes, sir.
Let's make that happen, guys. It's 2022. Let's make that happen. Yes, sir.
But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.